In the quiet corner of a private collection in 1924, a small, wingless bronze eagle was placed on a velvet cloth. It had been found decades earlier, buried, not on a battlefield or in a monumental tomb, but beneath the floorboards of a common house in Silchester, hundreds of miles from the frontier. There were no marks of fire, no skeletal remains nearby, and no explanation for why the most sacred symbol of a Roman legion lay discarded. In the official records of the Roman Empire, Legio IX Hispana, the Ninth Spanish Legion, was once a name that commanded terror. 5,000 battle-hardened men, engineers, and standard-bearers who had survived the deserts of Africa and the forests of Gaul. But by the year 108, their story begins to dissolve into the grey mist of northern Britain. The last physical evidence of their existence is a stone inscription in York, carved by a steady hand into a limestone slab. It records the legion rebuilding the southeastern gate of the fortress. After that, the bureaucratic machinery of Rome simply stops mentioning them. There are no reports of a massacre, no letters home to families in Iberia, no requisition orders for new sandals or replacement swords. It is as if 5,000 men marched into the Caledonian fog and the world forgot how to speak their names. The geography of the disappearance is a landscape of wet iron and dark peat. North of the Tyne, the land becomes a series of closing doors. The Roman scouts spoke of a silence in the highlands that felt deliberate, a psychological wait where the sound of 5,000 pairs of hobnailed boots was swallowed by the moss before it could echo. In the archives of the early 20th century, historians searched for a catastrophe that never appeared. If a legion is destroyed in battle, the earth usually screams it. There are mounds of bleached bone, rusted spearheads, but in the forests of Caledonia, there is only the dirt. Some records suggest a small detachment appeared later in Nijmegen, but the dates are fractured. The most haunting detail is not the lack of evidence, but the presence of shadows. In the ruins of frontier forts, archaeologists found equipment left behind in perfect order, as if the occupants had stepped out for a moment and intended to return. A sharpening stone left on a bench, a half-finished meal in a ceramic bowl, a leather tent flap still tied against a wind. That stopped blowing centuries ago. The psychology of the march must have been one of eroding certainty. To the Roman mind, order was light, and the unknown was a physical sickness. As the Ninth moved deeper into the territory of the Picts, the environmental pressure likely turned inward. There were no cities to conquer, no walls to breach, only an endless, shifting wall of grey rain and trees that looked like watching figures. Paranoia is a quiet disease in a military camp. It begins with a sentry who swears he saw the tree line move, and ends with an entire command structure failing to trust the ground beneath their feet. By the time the sun set on the 2nd century, the Ninth was officially struck from the imperial rolls. Their space in the records was filled by other names, other wars. Yet the bronze eagle in Silchester remains, its wings broken off, its eyes staring at nothing. It is a piece of evidence that suggests the end was not a glorious final stand, but something far more unsettling. Perhaps it was a slow dissolution, a group of 5,000 men who simply realized that the empire was too far away and the fog was too thick. Or perhaps, as the local legends of the north still whisper, they reached a place where the maps ended and the laws of the world they knew no longer applied. To this day, the Scottish soil refuses to yield their bones. The Ninth Legion did not die. They simply ceased to be, leaving behind nothing but the cold, damp memory of a march into a silence that